Welcome to the best 5-minute wine podcast with Forrest Kelly.
Let's meet our guest.
Milan Martin here with the Free Spirits Company. And it was just one of those things that was super shaped me as a person.
The best 5-minute wine podcast.
All right. So before we get into Free Spirits Company and what it's all about, tell us a little bit about, like, you were on a first date, and tell us about you.
Yeah, I grew up in a small town outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I kind of one day stumbled onto the advertising industry after I graduated school, kind of fell in love with that business. And I ended up doing, 20 years in the advertising business. I moved to New York, started as a, super junior guy, got the heck beat out of me for a couple of years, and then, started to kind of get it and worked my way up to be a senior partner there, got some global assignments, worked, outside the country. And it was just one of those things that was super shaped me as a person, personally, and as a business person. Really opens your eyes to, kind of that weird duality of, both how people around the world are wildly different from each other and wildly the same, to each other. And, it's a creative business. It's one that ultimately teaches you how to use this kind of elusive thing called creativity, to create value, to solve problems. And, kind of at the end of that advertising career, I was running an agency here in the West Coast, and I just realized it was kind of halftime in my career, and I'm like, you want the second half to look like the first, or do you want to do something totally different? And I just decided I want to do something totally different. And, my little insight was, advertising is a work hard, drink harder business. And there was more than a handful of times where I was overserved, to put it politely, over the course of my life and career and all that kind of stuff.
We'll get into that, but right now we're talking about your background. Now, when you say small town, I grew up in a small town in Idaho, and it was I was in the big city of about 20,000 people, but the surrounding areas near me were less than 1,000. Yeah. So when you say small town, how small outside of Philadelphia?
Probably, as I look back, probably 12,000 or so.
Okay.
I think it had a small town feel to it because it was just that area is so provincial. Like, you live in certain parts of the world where there's people from all over the world, and you meet people from different countries, and there's expat community and all that kind of stuff. Whereas I don't think I'd met anybody who lived outside the country until I was, in college or maybe even after,
Yeah, now that I think about it, I never really thought about that, but yeah, same here. Yeah, everybody I grew up with never left the town or the zip code or the area.
Exactly.
Yeah, so once you got out of there and you went to New York, was there a moment when you thought, okay, like you were saying, okay, there's a split here. I think I could do this better. Yeah,
I mean, I don't. No, there was never a moment where I thought I could do it better. I was on the road of for the majority of my career of, oh God, I don't belong here. Everybody here is smarter and more interesting than me. How do I just, hang on for the ride and pretend like I belong? And so, for 12 years in New York, especially the early days, it was just kind of work hard, try to learn things, be humble. And, and I was exposed to a world that I didn't know existed before, in terms of just, friend groups and professional groups of people that had lived lives that, were just super interesting. And I just embraced it, man. I embraced it for what it is. And I think for me, I'm somebody that's always kind of said, you live life once, like do it big, do it, make it as extraordinary of a life as you can. And, again, not to jump to the end, but it's like, gosh, for me, living it, for everything it was worth meant, just really, really embracing the drinking culture and spending a lot of time out at bars and restaurants. And that was, ultimately, that was a red thread throughout life and the business at the time.
So now when people go to, the website is drinkfreespirits.com. What exactly, kind of in a real, just a couple, 3 sentences, what does that mean? Drinkfreespirits.com.
Also, it's the name of the brand is Free Spirits, and in all honesty, freespirits.com was not available. We sell drinks, so that's how we ended up with the URL of drinkfreespirits.com. But yeah, we make non-alcoholic spirits, tequila, bourbon, gin, amaros, and we also make non-alcoholic pre-made cocktails in a can.
Oh yeah, blow that horn. Spin it to win it. And you can like and follow us on our social media and join in our collaborations on Insta, X, you know where. The Best Wine Pod. The Best Wine Pod.
Best 5 Minute Wine Podcast.